3 hours before his execution, Jesus' closest friends started arguing about who deserved the corner office. I'm not kidding. The founder of the world's largest religion is about to die, and his inner circle is trying to decide on this. And Jesus' response, he doesn't fire them, he doesn't lecture them, he gets on his knees and starts washing their feet. What happens next reveals why Christianity exploded from 12 confused guys to 2.4 billion people, and why everything you've been taught about success might be completely backwards. Okay, picture this. You're at your own farewell dinner. You know you're about to die tomorrow. You've just shared your last meal with your closest friends, and what do? They start arguing about who's going to be your successor. That's literally what happened to Jesus. Luke chapter 22, the bread and wine are still on the table and the disciples are measuring themselves against each other. And here's what gets to me. This wasn't even their first time. 3 times in the Gospels, we see them having this exact same argument. 3 times. Jesus keeps explaining and they keep missing it. You know what that tells us? We're all wired wrong, every single one of us. We're programmed to climb up when the secret is to kneel down. I get it. I check my subscriber count more than I'd like to admit. We all do it. LinkedIn followers, Instagram likes, whatever your drug of choice is. We're constantly measuring, constantly comparing, constantly asking, where do I rank? But watch what Jesus does. He doesn't shame them. He doesn't roll his eyes and storm out. He sits down and basically says, let me explain this again. C.S. Lewis once wrote that he needed to be reminded of the gospel basics every single day because his heart had spiritual amnesia. He said, we think we need new truths, but mostly we just need to remember old truths we keep forgetting. That's us. That's me. Every time I think I've got this servant heart thing down, I catch myself sometimes getting irritated when someone doesn't recognize my contribution or my serving. But I'm secretly keeping. Jesus knows this about us. And here's what's mind-blowing. He doesn't give up on us. Now Jesus drops a bomb that should make every CEO and pastor squirm and priest. He says, the King of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who exercise authority calls themselves benefactors. It was literally Caesar's LinkedIn bio, servant of the people. Meanwhile, they're crushing the poor with taxes and living in palaces. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. This isn't just about ancient Rome. This is every company that talks about servant leadership while the executives get golden parachutes and the workers can't afford healthcare. This is every church where the pastor preaches humility from a private jet. You want to know something crazy? There was this Stanford experiment in 1971. They took random college students, made some guards and some prisoners. Within days, the guards became abusive. One of them later said he thought he was helping the prisoners. He was serving them, you see, by controlling them. And that's the trap. Using servant language to mask power moves. And we all do it. When I serve my family but make sure everyone knows how much I sacrificed. When I help someone but post about it immediately. Jesus says something that should terrify us. But you, not so. Not try to do better, not work on your attitude, just not so. Full stop. But here's where this story goes from interesting to revolutionary. Jesus doesn't just tell them to serve, he shows them what he means. John's gospel fills in what Luke leaves out. Jesus wrapped the towel around his waist and washed their feet. I need you to understand what this means. In that culture, foot washing was so degrading that Jewish slaves could legally refuse to do it. It was the absolute bottom of the social ladder. And the creator of the universe is on his knees washing road dirt off Peter's feet, off Judas's feet, the guy who's about to sell him out for 30 pieces of silver. You know what power, real power, looks like? When Hurricane Katrina hit, the doctors at Memorial Hospital could have evacuated. They had the resources, the connections. Instead, they stayed with patients who couldn't leave. One doctor later said leaving wasn't even an option in their minds. That's the kind of power Jesus is talking about. The power to choose others when you could choose yourself. But wait, the foot washing. That was just the preview. In a few hours, those same hands that washed feet would be nailed to wood. The teacher who knelt down before his students would hang between heaven and earth. The king would die a slave's death. This is where it gets strong, because this isn't motivational speaker stuff. This isn't be nice and people will like you. This is the fundamental architecture of really being revealed. The most powerful being in existence chose to become the least powerful on purpose, as a strategy. Let me tell you about Maximilian Kolbe, a Polish prisoner in Auschwitz. When the Nazis selected 10 men to starve to death as punishment, one of them cried out that he had a wife and kids. Kolbe stepped forward, "Take me instead." For 2 weeks in that starvation bunker, while dying, he led the other prisoners in prayer and songs. The guards were freaked out because they'd never seen anyone die like that, with joy. That's what Jesus is talking about, not servant leadership as a management technique, not humility as a career strategy, but service that actually costs you something, love that bleeds. Here's what nobody tells you about the upside-down kingdom. It's actually the only thing that's ever worked. Think about it. Rome had all the power, the emperor, the armies, the gold. Where's Rome now? A tourist destination. A special place, sure. But the empire is gone. 12 confused guys who finally got this message. They turned the world upside down, or maybe right side up. Because here's the secret. People follow love. Real love. The kind that costs something. Every revolution that lasted, every movement that mattered, every life that actually changed the world. It wasn't the people climbing up who did it, it was the people willing to climb down. Martin Luther King Jr. could have been a comfortable pastor. Instead, he chose jail cells and death threats. Mother Teresa could have stayed in her convent school. Instead, she chose the slums of Calcutta. That German pastor who stood up to Hitler, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he was safe in America. He chose to go back to Germany knowing it could cost him his life, which it did. He said, when Christ calls you, he calls you to come and die. Not metaphorically, literally. And somehow that death becomes life for others. So here's where I'm at with this, and maybe you are too. I know this is true. I can see it. The evidence is overwhelming, but my heart still wants to be first, still wants to be recognized, still wants to climb that ladder. And you know what? Jesus knows that about me, about you. Remember, he said all this to the same guys who were just fighting about rank, to Peter, who would deny him 3 times before sunrise, to all of them who would run when the soldiers came. He was not looking for perfect people. He's looking for people willing to try this upside-down way of living, even when we fail, even when we forget and have to be reminded again every day. So here's my question for you. Really think about this. What would change in your life tomorrow if you actually believed that serving others was the path to influence? Not pretend serving, not servant leadership as a management technique only, but actually getting on your knees when you could demand others to get on theirs. Because that's not just nice religious talk. That's how revolutions start. That's how 12 confused guys changed the world. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment, tell me one specific way you could flip the pyramid tomorrow. Maybe it's how you treat that annoying coworker. Maybe it's finally apologizing to your kid. Maybe it's using your platform to lift someone else up instead of yourself. Whatever it is, name it, because the moment you name it, you're already starting to live it. And hey, if this hits you different than you expected, if this challenged you or encouraged you or just made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear that there's another way to live, another way to lead, another way to be human. The kingdom of God is upside down, or maybe we are. Either way, it's time to flip the pyramid. Peace and grace.